The devastation is clear for all to see. There is not a single neighborhood in Raqqa that was spared. There is more than 11,000 buildings that were destroyed or damaged all over the city. People are living in the middle of the ruins. As for the level of responsibility of the United States, they were the lead party in this military operation that involved also UK and French forces, but more than 90% of the airstrikes were carried out by US forces, and all of the artillery strikes were carried out by US forces. So the US was by far the overwhelming power in this military operation that caused so many civilian casualties that could have been avoided. We examined every single scrap of information that was available on open sources. And the findings of all that is that we were able to verify on the ground more than 640 civilian killed. And the rest, up to 1,600, are cases where we have names, where we have very strong and credible reports. The same information has also been collected by Air Wars. So we have done a very large part of the job that the coalition should have done and has not done until now. They have not been in Raqqa investigating on the ground, speaking to survivors and witnesses to try and find out what the impact of the military operation that they carried out has had on the civilian population. Our investigation shows two things. First, it is not a question of some individual isolated cases. It is way more widespread than that. Entire families, time and time again, were wiped out. 10 people here, 20 people there, 30 people in another building, and so on. And secondly, our investigation shows that it is possible to do this kind of investigation on a large scale in Raqqa. It is not always the case in a post-war theater, but it is possible to do so in Raqqa. Therefore, there is no impediment and therefore no reason why the US-led coalition has not been willing to do a proper investigation so that facts can be established, they can take responsibility, because until now the coalition has only admitted to roughly 10% of the civilian casualties they've caused. And that's not good enough, frankly. 18 months have passed since the end of the war. It is time for the coalition to be transparent, to come clean, to take its responsibility for the civilian casualties that it has caused, and to provide reparation to the victims. In Mosul, we saw the old city, which is a small percentage of the city, that was entirely destroyed. In Aleppo, we saw the part of Aleppo that was under rebel control that was very largely destroyed. In percentage term, Raqqa is another story, because in Raqqa is not one neighborhood or a few neighborhoods. The destruction is everywhere. We've published a map that shows satellite imagery. It's clear to see there isn't a single neighborhood that was spared. So in terms of percentage, I mean, obviously Mosul is a much bigger city than Raqqa. The destruction there was concentrated in the old city, which is a small percentage of the city of Mosul, thankfully. Again, in Aleppo, it was part of the city. In Raqqa, the destruction is everywhere. I have been working in a conflict situation all over the Middle East and Africa for the past 2 decades, and I haven't seen this level of destruction in percentage term anywhere else.